Hey there guys, what's up? It's JP here and I'm back with a new series. This time I'll be doing JP's Top 10. And for this first ever Top 10 series, I'm going to be doing JP's Top 10 to watch movies of 2015. So we're going to start off with, as you can see already on the screen, the Fantastic Four, which is, I know a lot of people have given this movie a lot of flack. I have been a really big critique of what I thought about the whole Doctor Doom thing and uh, but you know what? Other than the Doctor Doom thing, everything about this movie really is really interesting, and I think I they have a really interesting new approach to the Fantastic Four, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I think you guys should be too. But I will be doing the reviews for pretty much every movie that comes out on this list anyway, so you guys will hear my take on it. But yeah, so let's just move on here. That was my number 10, Fantastic Four. Up next, we have the oh my goodness, I know I'm going to get some flack for this one, but number 9 on my list is The Avengers Age of Ultron. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is the best movie ever, freaking best movie of all time. No, it's not. Okay, it's not. Even the first Avengers was not. Don't get me wrong, I really like my Marvel movies. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love Iron Man 1, I love Thor 1. Um, I didn't love the Avengers as much for some reason. I just thought maybe it's just because there's too much hype over it, and then I'm going to watch it, and I was like, you know what, it's not really as good as people say it is. Having said that, though, it is a really good movie, and you guys should be looking forward to this. What else can I say? Ultron, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Vision. Um, if that doesn't whet your appetite, it's nothing will, man. This is going to be one epic, kick-ass movie, and you guys should really enjoy. You guys should go and watch this. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? Unfortunately, it's only number 8 on my list. Uh, right up next, we have another Chris Hemsworth movie, which is kind of weird, I know, but yeah, we have The Heart of the Sea. Now, this movie is actually really interesting here because the only reason it's this high on my list, or it's even on my list, is because they moved its release date to December, if I'm not mistaken, or near the end of the year, which means they actually really like this movie. They think it's an Oscar contender. I read are trying to dodge like the summer blockbusters, but I sincerely doubt that's what they're trying to do here. If they wanted to do that, they would have released it in like I don't know September or something. But they moved it right up to December, which we all know the biggest juggernaut is in December, right? So we'll get to that one later. But yeah, having said that though, Prince, the what can I say about it? It is based off of the story that inspired Moby Dick. And that's Chris Hemsworth, which I've been saying for a while, is actually a really, really talented actor. Sure, he's a good looking dude, he's buff, he's ripped, he plays Thor, but he is a very talented actor, which is more than I can say about his brother. But we get to his brother later on, actually. Having said that, though, yeah, number 8 on my list, Heart in the Heart of the Sea. Uh, Moving on to my number 7, we have Spectre. Now, Spectre, I believe, just dropped its first official trailer recently. Of course, Spectre is the new James Bond movie. It's last star Daniel Craig. I'm not sure if this will be his last movie or not, but damn, am I looking forward to this one. Let's face it, Daniel Craig has become the go-to guy. Like he is basically what James Bond will be remembered for. Some people might say, don't get me wrong, my personal favorite James Bond is the George Clooney one. Not George Clooney. Oh god, why is his name not Sean Connery one? Right, way back when. Right, he was my favorite James Bond. He is my favorite James Bond. He will always be my favorite James Bond. But I cannot deny the talent that Daniel Craig brings to James Bond. I've loved. I didn't love like Quantum of Solace nearly as much, but Skyfall was amazing. Casino Royale's amazing. And Spectre looked like it's going to be pretty good. It does have a few other stars in it, of course. Like one big name that will be coming out will be Batista. We all know him from Guardians of the Galaxy. Granted, he's not the best actor in the world, but you know what? Used correctly, he did a really good job in Guardians, and I think he'll do a really good job here in Spectre. So let's just move on to the next one here, which is my number six pick, and it's gonna be a Pixar film, a Disney Pixar film. It's gonna be Inside Out. Now, the only reason this is on my list as well is just because of all the buzz it's getting. Right, I've heard amazing things about this movie. Like it's gonna be huge. Well, not huge, but it's gonna be something really special. Is what I hear. And as Pixar, they can't really. It's really hard to name you a Pixar movie that has disappointed. Um, but you know what? This one doesn't seem like it's going to be one of it here. Pixar looks like they're poised to reclaim their throne at the top of the animated film industry, and this film, from what I hear, is going to help them do that. So yeah, number six on my list, Inside Out. Next up, we have number five, which some people might put this higher. I'm putting it right here, number five. The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. Now, this may come as a shocker to most of you people, especially those Hunger Games fans, but I personally found Mockingjay Part 1 to be the best of the Hunger Games franchise. I know that Hunger Games is the ripoff of Battle Royale. I have watched Battle Royale, and I can tell you, yeah, I do like Battle Royale a little bit better than Hunger Games, but the Hunger Games is juggernaut, right? It is a movie juggernaut. It, don't get me wrong, they have not had a bad movie. I just prefer the original Battle Royale to it. Having said that, though, part one, I know disappointed a lot of people. Like most people were saying, oh, it's just a lot of setup for the next movie, and yeah, it is. It was. Um, but they're setting up for something big. I mean, there's no way they'll devote the entire movie and not like deliver on this on the payoff. So of course my only concern would be that it's all payoff and not enough story. You know, granted that it has been like a year apart here, which is kind of the problem that the Hobbit had. Um, like the Battle of Five Armies, they had a problem where it's all set up in the previous movie and then it's all payoff and it didn't really feel like um, it wasn't really cohesive enough for it to feel the emotional connection. So there is that fear for that, but you know it's Hunger Games. It's Jennifer Lawrence. She is the biggest actress in the world at the moment. If you ask me, I think the hype is real. You know, she's not overrated. She's not like, oh, Jennifer Lawrence sucks. I'm not on that train. I'm actually against it. I'm like, yeah, Jennifer Lawrence is a real deal. You guys should watch her. She's amazing, and yeah, she will be in this movie. So look out for this one. Up next is my number four movie. Now this is a movie unfortunately, I've already watched it. Yeah. Now I did make this list long before, or rather at the end of last year. Granted, I'm only now officially making a video because only now recently I decided that I want to start doing the movies, incorporating the movies into my um, channel. So yeah, we unfortunately this list is a little too late because the movie's already out. But having said that, though, we have Cinderella at number four, and you know what, is worth the hype. Like I put this number four on my list. Currently, it's my number one movie of the year, right? Granted, none of the other movies has showed up yet, but it is my favorite movie of the year, and I've watched a couple of movies. In fact, I've even watched movies from last year this year. So technically, I count those movies in as this year. What movies that I've watched this year, and this is my favorite movie of them all. And I've watched Nightcrawler this year. I've watched Fury this year. I've watched American Sniper this year. And Cinderella to me is my favorite just because I think it's a really beautiful story. It's a classic timeless story, and it's really well reimagined in this movie. So number four. Next up, we have number three, which uh, let's face it, this is another classic one that's gonna pop out this year, the new remake of a classic. This is Jurassic World, and I know some people were saying, why is it so dumb? It's a stupid story. Like, why would you make a Jurassic Park after all the events of the first one? Let's face it, if this park was real, you would go there and you would watch it and you would be like, oh my god, this park is amazing. Let's go watch the dinosaurs, even though they broke out from the cage before and killed a bunch of people before and stuff like that, right? You would still do it. And this movie is basically it, right? This is telling you, oh, we've had this for a while. The premise of it is really cool, but people are sick of it. Just like how people are sick of things that, like years ago, we considered amazing, like a handphone, right? Now everyone's got a handphone. Heck, I've got one right here, right? Let me look at my new phone, right? I have a new phone many years ago, like 10, 20 years ago. A handphone was not a common thing. Now everybody has one. So yeah, the same logic they try to apply to this movie, which I think is really clever because honestly, in a real life situation, I think that is what would happen. So it's a more realistic approach to Jurassic Park. Don't get me wrong, it's always been somewhat realistic, but this one kind of takes the cake here. And let's face it, hybrid dinosaurs and if you've seen the trailers, like pterodactyls picking up people and eating them and stuff. Oh my goodness, this movie's gonna be amazing. All right, I could be wrong. And my list could be totally wrong. And it could be all complete garbage, except for Cinderella, which I know is actually really good. But having said that, though, my list could be complete garbage. This is just my own personal list, so your list is probably gonna be different from mine. That you know what, everybody's subject. Movies are subjective. That's the beauty of what a movie is. Two people can watch the same movie and two people walk out with different impressions. Why not? So yeah, let's move on to my number two here, which is going to be Tomorrowland. This movie, now this is the George Clooney movie that I was thinking about earlier. So yeah, I just George Clooney, and let me just pull up real quick here because for some reason the cast is eluding me here. I remember George Clooney and Hugh Laurie in it. Um, Probably because those are the names that stick out to me the most here. Yeah, the other names probably aren't as mainstream. I could be wrong though. Like, yeah, basically those are the movies here. Having said that though, the names are the. Having said that though, Tomorrowland has a really interesting premise about multi-dimensional things. It's kind of like a sci-fi movie, which I think is a genre that people don't appreciate enough. Now, granted, we are in the age of the comic book movies, which is kind of interesting because comic books is technically sci-fi. Um, and Tomorrowland has a really interesting premise about multi dimensions and time travel and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for this movie, um, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. It says here from the director of The Incredibles and Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol. Those are good movies. So we know the direction is good. We know he has solid acting talent in the form of George Clooney and Hugh Laurie. There's no reason not to look forward to this movie. And next one, number one, I'm pretty sure everybody saw this coming here. It is the juggernaut. It is the franchise itself. The icon, the franchise, not to quote wrestling, right? But it is Star Wars The Force Awakens. Like, I am a huge Star Wars fan. Any gamer, anybody who plays games should be a Star Wars fan because we all know some of the best games out there, like the Knights of the Old Republic, uh, and many others like Rogue One, not Rogue One, Rogue Squadron and stuff like that. Those are all classic games like Jedi Academy. These are all games based off of Star Wars, and Star Wars is the franchise. I don't care what you mean. You can be a Marvel fan, you can be a DC fan, you can be a whatever fan, you can be a Hunger Games fan. Star Wars is the franchise. You know it. We all know it. This is the franchise. Probably among all the movies in the world ever released, Star Wars and The Godfather are the only big franchises that are up there in the list of the greatest movies ever, right? And Star Wars Episode, I guess 5, The Empire Strikes Back, was likely considered to be one of the greatest movies of all time, and rightfully so. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, if not my most favorite, depending on what day you ask me. And I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what J.J. Abrams can bring onto the plate. I love his approach for Star Trek, which I thought was a fresh take. I've never been a huge Star Trek fan until I watched his version of the films. I used to watch the TV series with like what's his name, John Picard or something. The Patrick Stewart one. I really liked that. Not all that much, but I watched it. I watched Starship Enterprise, which is also a Star Trek movie. Or rather, Star Trek TV series. I really like that one. But I didn't love it until I watched Star Trek done by J.J. Abrams, and I'm really excited to see what he can do with Star Wars, which is, let's face it, it is the franchise. These guys, look, you have to watch this movie, right? Whether you love Star Wars or you hate it, you're gonna watch it. So yeah, that's my top 10 movie list. Let me know what your guys, you guys, yeah, like what your top 10 movie list would be, and let me know in the comment section below about what you think about the top 10 series. Is there a top 10 list that you want me to do? And yeah, that'll be all for me for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll have another one for you guys really soon. This is JP signing out.